Hello, and today I'm going to show you some banknotes. I haven't uploaded anything for a little while. This is the start of my English notes folder, and just a couple of obscure things at the front, a couple of postal orders. Remember these when I was a child. Occasionally you'd get a postal order, maybe in a birthday card or something, and an old share certificate which is on very, very thin paper, printed in 1861, I think. 1861 there. It's amazing that it's survived in such good condition. Not an expensive thing, but just an interesting thing. And I haven't really got into provincial banknotes, but I needed a few just to show what they are. This is a Newcastle upon Tyne one which hasn't been filled out. The one at the bottom has been signed by a cashier and dated. They're more expensive often when they're not filled out, and when they were cashed they were stamped with cancelled, but another way to cancel them is to cut the signatures out, which is what's happened with these two, Darlington Bank and Stockton-on-Tees Bank. Some of these notes are quite expensive. These ones are quite cheap ones. I wonder how. I think they're quite rare, but I don't think there's a massive amount of demand on them. That one's repaired. It was quite common to cut it in half and post the half separately, and then the receiver could stick them together as a security measure. So there's just a few of those. I probably plan to add a few more, but I don't want to get involved in spending lots of money on provincial notes. This is my oldest Bank of England note. It's a Henry Hayes note. There was some legal reason why they didn't ever create £1 notes, but that was put on pause for about 25 years when we were at war with France, and they needed extra liquidity, so they started making these £1 notes. So it's obviously very old and beaten up, from 1811, but it's nice to cross it off the list and say, yeah, I've got one of those. My aim was always to have each denomination from every cashier, but there's a number of cashiers that are just unaffordable. This one's a Narn note from 1914. Narn is on the unaffordable end of the spectrum, but just managed to squeeze one in there. There's cashiers like Bowen, which it's possible I'll get one day, but I need to save my pennies up. That's a Harvey note. It's got a little hole in it from 1921, but it's still a reasonable example to have. Fairly clean. Just got some rust around the signature, and a £5 from Mahon, 1925, and this is where Mahon's where the normal printed notes come out, and so I think most people want to collect back to about Mahon. Earlier than Mahon starts to become troublesome. Cattons, who followed him, 1932. And next we have Pepiat. Pepiat, there's one more I need to get. This is on thin paper, this Pepiat note in 1935. Then they changed the paper for a thicker kind of paper. This is 1944. They're a bit more expensive if they're during the war years. That was quite a nice clean example. Then I should have another thin one where they reintroduced the thin. That's a bill one, O'Brien, and that's got Z99. That's the last prefix of that run. That's quite a rare note. But I've got a more common note from O'Brien, which is a very clean example. Then we're on to £10 white notes. Again, there are financial reasons why I don't have all of these. That's a nice Mahon one. That was quite an expensive note. And then Pepiat, that one was quite cheap because the condition leaves a little bit to be desired. It was one of my earlier ones. And then this is a £50 Cattons note, which was produced in a prisoner of war camp in Germany. These were part of an Operation Bernard, which was to counterfeit our money. And you see the denomination 50 there, the round balls around the outside of that logo. One of the ways you can tell it's a forgery is because they're not very even. They're not all perfectly round, as you would expect from the quality of a Bank of England note. And that vignette, there's certain details within that which can give you a clue that it's a forgery. The £5 notes, you can get a good idea from the watermark how that lines up, but it's an art in itself. Anyway, thanks for watching.